Okay, I'm just connecting to YouTube. And we are live.
Thank you, Valerie. Okay, we are going to get started. Welcome to the Certification Advisory Council meeting. This meeting is being webcast today. We are meeting virtually via the Zoom platform. And I would like to remind participants to mute yourself when you're not speaking, and then of course, unmute when you are going to speak. Please ensure your video is on so that others can see you when you talk. And you can indicate you have a comment or a question by using the hand icon or sending a request via chat. However, we are a small group, so that might not be necessary. The coordinating board staff present today are Dr. Tina Jackson, Assistant Commissioner for Workforce, Paul Schuler, Manager and Staff Liaison who coordinated the virtual site team visit, and I am Kathy Mayert. I'm the Director of Private Post-Secondary Institutions. And I want to welcome our Certification Advisory Council members, CAC members. After I say your name, if you could just identify yourself and give your institution and title. So Dr. Jacob Tingle.
Good morning. My name is Jacob Tingle. I'm at Trinity University, and I am a professor in business administration.
Dr. Hua Lee, who I think is talking to someone else. Dr. Lee, can you just introduce yourself? We're going to wave at him. We'll come back to him. Dr. Cheryl Sneed-Green.
Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I am with Prairie View A&M University, and I am the Assistant Provost.
And Dr. Gina Anderson.
Good morning, everyone. I am the Associate Dean for Educator Preparation and Partnerships and a Professor of Curriculum and Instruction at Texas Women's University.
Okay. And Dr. Dorothy Langley.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dorothy Langley. I am the Dean of Adult and Continuing Education at Jarvis Christian College in Hawkins, Texas.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lynette Gillis, our sixth member, had a family emergency this morning, and she apologized for not being able to be here, but I told her family was important and she needed to take care of that. I believe we do have a quorum, and I think Dr. Lee is doing double duty here. So he's listening to us, but he has another meeting that he's monitoring as well. The institution representatives and site team leader, you can introduce yourselves at the point that the CAC begins considering the certificate of authority application. And so we'll ask for your introduction at a later time. Before I turn the meeting over to our chair, Dr. Tingle, Dr. Jackson, our Assistant Commissioner for Workforce Education, would like to present to the committee an update on workforce education activities. So Dr. Jackson, we are ready for your presentation.
Hi, colleagues. How are you all doing? Is everyone able to see my screen? All right. It's interesting living in the virtual world. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it looks different when it works. So glad to be here with you all this morning, and glad to just share a few details about some of the work that we're engaged in with workforce education. As you all know, the division is doing a lot of great work. And I think if I had one way to summarize it, I'd say that we're very focused right now on making sure that as we move forward, we're really connecting our pathways intentionally from the 2-year perspective through the 4-year, and also working very closely with our K-12 partners. So a lot of our work is really starting to be strategically aligned with the Texas Workforce Commission, TEA, and the coordinating board. And so as I share with you all today, know that that is definitely something that we're constantly doing. We have several legislative bills that pass that will make our work also intentional. And in those efforts, I'll explain in just a few moments. So as you all know, we have lots of work that we do within the division. And so these are the two areas of work that I would put into our two teams of work that our colleagues are engaged in. And so I'm just pleased with what we're doing and how things are moving forward. We've been talking a lot about the changes that we've seen, of course, because of the pandemic. And one thing is for sure, we have become more strategically aligned, and we are really moving the work forward as it pertains to private and post-secondary institutions, and also with our public sectors. So I mentioned tri-agency efforts that we're engaged in. And so just to talk a little bit about that, one of the committees that we're constantly connecting to right now is around cybersecurity. We actually have a Senate Bill 64 cyber security workforce pathway initiative that's happening currently. And that work is actually scheduled to be complete at the end of this month. And so what that will do is it'll align our colleagues from the K-12 sector to our two-year institutions so that students are able to take dual credits and able to get a cybersecurity degree while completing their high school diploma. And this is a statewide venture that we took on with lots of colleagues from across the state who are from the two-year perspective and also the four-year perspective. So just pleased with how that work is going, along with our other initiatives that we're doing within the realm of transfer pathway work. One way we're trying to make sure that we're intentional is we're really targeting businesses across the state, and also we're targeting our workforce initiatives across the state with our advisory committees. So one of the things that we know is it's so important right now to upskill and reskill all of the individuals who have lost jobs or either are currently underemployed because of the fact that maybe their particular venue of work is no longer the same because of the pandemic. And so we're really laying the foundation for our talent pipelines as we speak, and looking at ways to support fast tracks to high value credentials. And this is something that we know is important. And so for an employee who's working currently under employed and not making the type of salary that they choose to make, they may need to upskill in a way that looks like going back to school and getting maybe 2 to 3 and possibly even more than that courses, so that they have a certain skill set that would allow them to continue to move the work forward. So we've been talking a lot about ways to get strategic with that work. We've been working with Brookings Institute, which is a company that's doing great work around helping each region across the state to understand where their workforce demands are and what the future trends look like. And so this is great work that we're engaged in. I wanted to just share a few other slides. I'm not going to take up too much of your time today because I know we have other things to focus in on. What we do know is that we have a large population here in the state that are they don't have a degree, but they have some college. And so we're really focusing in on those individuals in ways that we can connect the dots to make sure that we support those individuals. So many of you all have heard of our GEAR funding that we received about a year ago now, and we've actually received additional dollars from the governor. And so we will actually be rolling out additional programs regarding the new GEAR funds. But we've had a lot of success so far with that. We've had 65 awards that we've given out in 2 rounds of funding. And it's exciting to see how we're able to serve the students and then also work with the institutions. So as you can see here from this slide, this is showing you how much money has actually went out the door. And we've had a great representation from the 4-year and the 2-year institutions. And that's just great news, because we really knew that in order to move the needle like we need to, we have to really impact 2-year and 4-year institutions. So just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. And then I'm going to move quickly through this, but I'll share this slide with these slides with Cam so that she can pass them along to you. Some of the national trends we're seeing is that it's really important right now, colleagues, for us to have shorter programs that embrace credentials so that students have that markability going right into the field. We're really supporting competency-based education. Can't say enough positive things about that. And then also the importance of having embedded industry recognized credentials is key to this work. So these are some of the things that I just wanted to share with you all this morning. And then in closing, I will talk a little bit about the legislative session. I'm sure that you all are familiar with some of these bills that were on the floor and that have now passed, but I'll just share them just so that you all know which ones actually are connected directly to our division. So this one here, House Bill 700, is really impacting our foster youth programs. And it's actually in place so that our students who are in the foster care system are able to get college credits for a preparatory living course that they'll take. And so that's a good thing. And I'm excited to hear that that's going to happen. Another piece of legislation that was impactful is our applied Black bachelor's degrees offered by junior colleges. And so now you are able to offer up to 5 programs, which is good because in the past it was 3. And so this is effective immediately. The nursing component, we know how important this area is. And so as you can see here, we're making more efforts to make sure that we can support having more nursing population students in the pipeline, talent pipeline. It's just critical right now. So having a lower taxable valuation is going to be, I think, a great thing. We have been focused a lot on work-based learning and the importance of it as part of the key for students to land the jobs that they would like to land. And so it's going to be exciting to work in this way across, I've mentioned earlier, across the board with TEA and TWC to be strategic about making sure that our students really are able to have work-based learning opportunities. And part of this plan will be to really identify federal funds that could be used for that actual piece. And so I'm excited about this work. I think that this is also important as we move forward with reskilling and upskilling. The Tri-Agency Workforce Initiative is something that we've actually been engaged in for several years now. And now this really makes it official, whereas the work moves forward, we are going to, as a tri-agency effort, make sure that we match and share and manage education workforce data, that we are jointly connecting our strategic goals, and that we are really planning on sharing out about career pathways that target occupations that we know are forecasted to really grow in our Texas future. So this is just another way of us to continue to be strategic as colleagues at the Texas Workforce Commission, the Texas Education Agency, and then at the coordinating board. And just to share a little bit more about that, this slide talks about the fact that we are going to actually really get unified on our data, and we're going to have a resource that we'll be able to share with you all so that you all will be able to go online and find things that you need in a more seamless way. And I think that that's something that we've needed to do for a while. So I'm excited about that work. House Bill 4361 is focused in on workforce education and really connecting the dots to a lot of the industry partners that we serve across the state. What I really am excited about here is that, as you can see, when campuses are interested in working with industry partners, now they will not have to have the Higher Education Regional Council approval, which hopefully will speed up the process, colleagues, as you put together agreements with your employers that are in your own neck of the woods. So this is another exciting change that's in effect now. We are excited about this shift with continuing education and success-based funding. And so what this Senate Bill 959 is about, is really looking at any courses that are directly connected to where we see our high value stackable credentials. And this will be something that I think will really move the needle as it pertains to workforce education. So do note that, of course, we are just now getting started on this work, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on, because this is going to change, I think, a lot of the work around getting more students to go into a lot of the continuing education workforce certificates that they can receive, level 1, 2, and 3. So excited to work on this and to move this work forward. And then True is something that I'm sure many of you have heard of. This is another exciting initiative that we are engaged in at the beginning stages now. And the goal of True is to help to support and redesign the extension of workforce training programs across the state, to help to lead towards that whole pathway that we've talked a lot about from the post-secondary workforce credentials, and make sure that they are really, we're really intentional, and that the pathways are really truly aligned properly. So we will have a consortium of individuals who will work on this. This will be, of course, a huge initiative for the state, and we'll be working directly with the Texas Association of Community Colleges and some other colleagues from across the state to get this right. So some of the things that we're required to do is to really talk about the high demand credentials that are needed. And we've started some of that work, but we're going to get very strategic and spell that out in a way that's clear. We're also going to work collectively to make sure that if it's necessary to change formula funding, that happens. And so that will be reflected in a report. And this is effective immediately. And so we also have dollars that are connected to this work that the governor has given us. Any questions that anyone has?
Great, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for your presentation. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our CAC chair, Dr. Jacob Tingle.
Good morning again, everyone. Before we hear from the site team and our representatives from Burrell College, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Excuse me. Have the members had an opportunity to review those meeting notes, and are there any revisions that anyone has? No. Okay.
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. I'd like to, at this point, ask for a motion and a second to approve those meeting notes.
So moved.
Dr. Anderson,
Second.
second by Dr. Langley. So I'm now going to ask each individual to for a yes or a no vote for approval. Dr. Anderson?
Yes, I do approve the minutes as currently recorded.
Thank you. Dr. Langley?
Yes, I approve the minutes.
Dr. Sneed Green?
Yes, I approve the minutes.
Dr. Lee?
Yes, I approve the minutes.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, my mic finally working.
No, that's good. And then my vote is also yes. Okay, so with the unanimous votes, the January 28, 2021 meeting summary notes are approved. So today we are considering the application from Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine for its second certificate of authority. They have operated in El Paso under a previous certificate of authority while seeking Higher Education Coordinating Board recognized accreditation. I'd like to remind the CAC members that we have received the site evaluation team report and Burrell College's response prior to this meeting. Do note that starting on page 2, there's a header that says SSA 2017 report. That should not be there, so we can ignore that. At this point in time, I'd like to have the representatives from Burrell College just introduce yourself, your name, and your title.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Tingle. My name is Bill Peratt. I'm the Dean and Chief Executive Officer here at Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine.
My name is Nina Nunez, and I'm an AVP of Enrollment Services and Institutional Effectiveness.
Thank you. Dr. Busser, will you introduce yourself for us, please?
Hi, I'm Dr. Boyd Boozer. I'm an
Boozer.
osteopathic family physician and retired dean of 2 colleges of osteopathic medicine.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer, and apologies for mispronouncing your name.
It's all right.
Okay. Cam, at this point, will you remind the CAC members of the Certificate of Authority process and the timeline?
Yes. Each certificate of authority is valid for 2 years. The current certificate of authority for Burrell will expire on December 18th, 2021. We anticipate that the CAC and the Commissioner's recommendations will be brought to the October quarterly board meeting in time to consider Burrell's application prior to its expiration in December. And just as a reminder, the CAC committee makes a recommendation to the Commissioner and to the coordinating board members. The Commissioner can make his own recommendation, and those recommendations go to the coordinating board at a committee meeting and then to the full board meeting at a quarterly meeting. The certificate of authority, if approved, would then be valid. It's heard in October, but it would actually be valid from December 2021 to December 2023. We don't want to cut them off for 2 more months. So institutions can apply for and receive certificates of authority for a total of 8 years. At the end of 8 years, the institution must have received coordinating board recognized accreditation. And this would be Burrell's second certificate of authority. Certification by the state of Texas is not accreditation, but it's a protection of the public interest while the institution pursues accreditation from a recognized agency.
All right, thank you very much. And now Dr. Pratt or Ms. Nunez or some combination, we would love to hear 5 to 10 minute overview of the institution's degree program and accreditation status. And I think it would also be helpful as a reminder for all of us what activities take place. If you could also talk about what activities take place at the El Paso site and which take place at the Las Cruces site.
Thank you, Dr. Tingle. So a little bit about our degree program. We are accredited by COCA, which is the Commission on Osteopathic College Accreditation, to grant a 4-year DO degree, which is the Doctor of Osteopathy or Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine degree. Our curriculum is a fairly traditional 2+2 curriculum, where the first 2 years take place in Las Cruces at our main campus and consist of our preclinical curriculum, basic sciences, anatomy, basic structure and function, physiology, and so forth, along with clinical skills. After those 2 years, our students progress into the 3rd year. We have a distributive campus model for our clerkship training, one of which is our El Paso campus. In the 3rd year, our students do core clerkship rotations in family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, psychiatry, general surgery, and obstetrics and gynecology. In the 4th year, they have 1 required core rotation in emergency medicine, and the balance of the 4th year is taken up with electives as well as audition rotations and the application and interview process for their residency placement the following spring. Our accreditation, we received full accreditation by the COCA in 2020 upon graduation of our first inaugural class. Our next comprehensive accreditation visit is due in 2024. As far as the activities that we conduct in El Paso, that is one of our regional academic centers. We have 7 total that we have 4 in the state of New Mexico, 1 in Tucson, El Paso, and 1 in Rockledge, Florida. And those, so El Paso, just like the other 6, supports the core clerkships as well as elective opportunities. We have capacity for up to 30 students in each class. We also have a regional assistant dean based in El Paso, as well as a center coordinator who helps with scheduling and student support. Our El Paso facility also includes a conference room meeting space for didactics, journal club, student meetings, and so forth. And then obviously our students have access to preceptor clinics and our affiliate hospitals in El Paso. So that's a brief synopsis. I'm happy to answer any questions that the members may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And then Dr. Boozer, could you give us a 5 to 10 minute summary of your of the site team's report?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Tingle. I'd like to thank the folks at Burrell. They were great hosts. There are certain challenges associated with doing a site team visit virtually, but I think all in all, it was quite satisfactory. One of the things that made it very helpful for the site team was the incredible responsiveness of the staff at Burrell. Requests for, first of all, the preparation of their materials was very good, but the additional materials that the site team requested during the course of the visit were delivered promptly and completely. And so we wanted to express our thanks to Burrell. I'd like to thank the other team members also, Dr. Lisa Nash and Paul. I'm having
Annette Ferguson.
Annette, yes, Annette Ferguson. I apologize. I'm glad Annette's not here to see that fumble. But they were both very professional and thorough in their work. Paul, I'd like to thank him. He did an outstanding job of getting us ready and keeping us on track. Turning to the site visit report, all standards were met with the exception of standards 15 and 16, which were not applicable. There were really no areas of significant concern. We did have one area out of all the standards where we did list a significant concern, but in the view of the site team, the standard was indeed met. So I want to be clear about that. That was on standard 12. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'd just like to open it up to the members of the CAC and to ask whatever questions that we would like to ask. So I will go mute. I've got a couple that I have, but I'd love to just see what other questions we have.
Hi. Just a few questions. I read through the report and I actually went to you guys' website yesterday to see how easy it was to navigate, which I thought it was laid out pretty well. I went specifically to the admission requirements section because I guess if I was a student, that's what I would be looking for. What's the admission requirements? And some of the things I thought I was some of the stuff I would like to see, and it might not be there, is, what's you guys acceptance rate for students? Because I saw what the requirements were, what the scores are, what the GPA, what's the your acceptance rate, your graduation rate, persistence rate, those kind of things.
Yes, ma'am. So I appreciate the comment. And as far as our acceptance rate, I will have to defer to Ms. Nunez on that. Our graduation rate, we have graduated 2 classes, and our attrition rate thus far has been right around 5%. And so I didn't get into our match rate and our placement rate. Our match rate has been 90 to 92%. And our placement rate for our inaugural class was 100%. So 100% of our initial classes graduates did have residency positions and jobs. Our most recent graduating class was 145 students. And we had a placement rate of 97.2% for those graduates. So all but 4 of the 145 had residency positions as of July 1.
Good. So then I guess that then your do the students have to when they finish the program, do they have to take like some type of state boards? And what's the passage rate on those?
Yes, sir. So with our degree program and our COCA accreditation, our students take the COMLEX exams, which there is a level 1 exam and a level 2 exam that are required elements for the degree program prior to graduation. And then after graduation, typically during their first year of residency, they take level 3, which then entitles them to licensing within the state in which they're doing their residency. So licensing is commensurate upon passage of level 3, as well as completion of 1 postgraduate year of medical training.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to piggyback off of Dr. Sneed Green's questions, and you helped me a lot by explaining the different levels of exams. And so after the level 3 exam, when they have completed their residency, do you have any data of how many of those students, candidates remain in Texas and how many go elsewhere?
So good question, Dr. Anderson. So our inaugural class graduated in 2020. They will then enter residencies. And so our first year class just completed their first PGY year. And so they are still about 2 years away from finishing most of their residency. So we don't have placement as far as practice yet. We do know that data shows that we can expect residents, about 60% of residents remain within the state that they do their residency. We did place, I believe, 25 of our first year graduates in Texas programs, El Paso and others, and then another 20 this last match year. So we have a number of our graduates placed into Texas residency training programs. And so, the data would suggest that around 60% may be expected to remain in Texas to practice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do have a follow-up question to the follow-up question. How do you track graduates after you place them? Do you have anything in place to keep up with them, to see how they're doing, years from now, just to follow them through their path?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Langley. We do have an alumni association that will be tracking our graduates going forward. And so we will be tracking not only their match specialty, but where, how they progress through residency and where they end up practicing afterwards. So we will be able to track that data as it accumulates with subsequent cohorts.
Thank you so much. And I do have one more question to ask, because I was looking through the data, and I showed you have a lot of adjunct faculty as well as some volunteer faculty where persons just volunteering their time. And in reading this, one of the areas of concern, even though the standard was met, was the outreach to improve adjunct faculty attendance at the development sessions. So can you tell me a little bit how you do that? And I don't see any of the results, like how many attended. I know it would be hard to do it, probably have to be a Zoom, but can you tell me a little bit of how that actually works? How's it structured, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. So Dr. Langley, we have a kind of a two-pronged approach. We have something called FAME, which is the Faculty Academy of Medical Educators, and that is our faculty development vehicle. We also have our Office of Clinical Education, which oversees all of our clerkships, as well as our clerkship preceptors, and collaborates with our faculty development to go out to our regional academic centers. Last year, it was obviously virtual. This year, we have done what we call RAC or hub visits. And in fact, with our El Paso Academic Center, I participated just last month in the faculty development visit, where we have a sit-down dinner and a faculty development presentation that earns our preceptors continuing education credit. And we do that for all of our regional academic centers to ensure comparability. We are aware that with our virtual offerings this past year, our attendance record could have been, I think, a little tighter. And so we have a more deliberate system now of attendance recording and tracking that we have been doing for our live visits.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I have a related question about the faculty. And in the report, it mentioned there's no tenure offered to the faculty, no matter they are full-time or part-time. So what is the typical length of contract? And how, like, without tenure, how do you plan to retain all those faculty in your college?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Lee. So that is correct. We are not a tenure granting college. We have a relatively small employed faculty, and then we have affiliate faculty as well as our adjuncts. The number of adjunct faculty is somewhat inflated by the fact that we utilize community physicians as our preceptors rather than employed faculty. As far as contracts, we have faculty contracts that are administered and reviewed as part of we have an annual review program for all of our faculty, and those contracts are renewed on an annual basis upon review with their department chairs, and we do the same for our affiliate and adjunct faculty.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, I've got a couple of questions. On standard 3, indicated that there were 2 of the board positions that were currently vacant. One, I guess, with the Rice Foundation, and another managing member. Have those been filled yet, or what is the plan to have those vacancies filled?
So thank you, Dr. Tingle. So the plan currently, they have not yet been filled. We have had some turnover of our independent member and one of the Rice members because we maintain independent member majority. We did not want to fill the Rice position until we fill the independent position. We're in process of doing so. COVID obviously has made that a little more challenging, but we won't fill the ownership position until the independent position is filled.
Thank you for that clarification, and I'll also just say thanks for that thoughtfulness of the balance there. I think that's good to hear. Another thing that jumped out at me, I guess, and I think maybe it's just I don't fully understand the terminology, but with the COCA accreditation, it's designated as accreditation with heightened monitoring. Is heightened, I guess, explain what heightened monitoring is for those of us who aren't familiar with the COCA language. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to clarify that. That is a term that has bugged us as well, and we've addressed that with COCA. So to put this in maybe allopathic terms, or let me just go, I'll start with our explanation first. So the accreditation with heightened monitoring was due to COCA feeling that there were two standards that had not been met at our initial comprehensive visit. We did demonstrate for COCA that we had met those standards in follow-up. At the COCA meeting last December of 2020, they confirmed that all of our standards had been met at that point and remain met. Heightened monitoring is the term they give to any accreditation status that is less than the full duration. And so if you're familiar with LCME and the accreditation of allopathic medical schools, it's basically an accreditation with a shortened time certificate that they would then revisit sooner than the typical 6 to 8 year window. So the heightened monitoring is an unfortunate term, but it is still full accreditation. It simply means that they are going to repeat their inspection in 4 years as opposed to a longer accreditation period.
Thank you.
Hopefully that helped.
Quick question. I was looking at students' rights and responsibilities on page 32, and where it says the institution shall establish and adhere a clear and fair policy, blah, 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 blah. And it said that the site team reviewed the student handbook, the student discipline policy and grievance policy, and the students are given an electronic copy of the student handbook. Is the student grievance policy and the discipline policy and the grievance policy inside the student handbook?
Yes, ma'am. Those are included virtually in the student handbook that they receive.
And the student handbook is also easily accessible on the website, because if it's sent to me electronically, I lose my email, I didn't get it. Is it somewhere easily where I can go and look for it? Because I was trying to put in a search to put policy, just put policy in there, and nothing came up. So I kind of had to dig through and go through student affairs and find the student handbook and that type of stuff. So just making it easy for students to find that information.
Yes, ma'am. It is currently under the student tab, and our student affairs folks remind our students at orientation and annually about how to access not just the student handbook, but all of those other processes, virtually or on paper.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I noticed under the financial resources and stability, it talks about the market analysis. And one of the recommendations from and this is on page 7, one of the recommendations from the site team is that the results from the studies be shared with employees. And I'm just wondering, have you had an opportunity to consider how that would be done? Or are you going to undertake that recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Langley. So we definitely take the recommendation seriously. We have a system of town halls where our leadership team communicates with our faculty and staff. And so information about the status of our standing and our plans and anything ongoing is shared at those town halls for information. We also have a monthly bulletin that is distributed electronically to faculty, staff, and students, and we can communicate any such updates through that communication mechanism.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I actually have just while we're on standard 5, one of the things I noticed was that the site team indicated that they had interviewed students. Were there any concerns, Dr. Boozer, that you heard from the students in terms of, I guess, any concerns that then you've shared with the Burrell College administration? Or
the students, during our interviews with them, they were quite pleased with the mechanisms that were available to them for complaints and or problems, for advising and counseling. So we didn't really hear any significant concerns from the students.
Thank you.
Jacob, can I ask a couple?
Yes, please.
This is just state regulator questions. When is the expected approval date for the Higher Learning Commission accreditation? Do you have an update on that?
Yes, I can. Sorry, we're going to fix our sound. Okay. Yes, we do have an update to provide on that. So we actually submitted our eligibility filing with the HLC at the very, very end of May. And so right now our eligibility filing is being reviewed by a panel, which takes about 3 to 5 months after our submission. And so we would anticipate by November that we would have a letter of eligibility from the HLC. And again, we will then proceed with our intent to pursue candidacy, prepare for a comprehensive evaluation visit. We anticipate that site visit would be sometime in the late fall or the beginning of spring 23. And then we would hopefully have an award or duration of candidacy, which is about 2 years. And it is possible that at a biennial evaluation that we could potentially have early initial accreditation. So we anticipate that the earliest that we would have it would be either the fall of 24 or the spring of 25. At the very latest, we anticipate the fall of 26 or the spring of 27.
Thank you. And then the second thing was, I had noticed in the, I think it was in the report, the New Mexico Higher Education Department license, it expired in June, and I just want to ensure that you have a renewal.
Yes, we do have the renewal. It recently just came in, and so we're happy to provide that if necessary.
I've just got one more question for me, and this is really, I guess, more out of curiosity. On standard 21, I think it's page 31. There's a notation of the Spark Early Intervention Program. Can you talk about what that program is, how it's designed to work, and I guess it looks like it's working well. I'm just curious to know what that program is.
Yes, sir. So SPARK is one of many acronyms. It's for students performing at risk. And so when our academic specialists and our assessment specialists identify a student at risk, the student is invited to meet with the SPART team. The SPART team consists of primarily student affairs folks, both our executive director of student affairs, as well as our academic specialists, and then our assessment specialists. And typically they meet with the student, they get feedback from the student after some self-reflection, and then help guide strategies, whether it's an academic challenge, whether there are personal issues going on in the student's life. But the SPARK team helps the student to strategize and to redirect their efforts, with the goal ultimately of correcting their course and avoiding any, course failures that might land them before the student performance committee. And you're right, thus far it has been a very successful endeavor.
Thank you. Well, I guess I just would like to ask the committee members and I guess members of the coordinating board, if anyone has any other questions, follow-up questions from responses, or any other questions related to the report or the responses.
Just out of curiosity, it's not really a question. You have a newsletter called the Bear Beat. Why is that name?
So thanks, Dr. Lee. So the school mascot was chosen to be the bear, and so our monthly newsletter that I mentioned earlier is called the Bear Beat. Just as a, I'm sorry. Well, and we also have a BEAR program that is a Burrell expedited admission review that was kind of an early assurance program. So that's where the BEAR moniker came from. And so it has sort of spread through the school as sort of our identified mascot.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome, thanks.
Thank you for your responses. I'm good, Dr. Tingle.
Dr. Tingle, may I say something?
Please, please.
I just would like to make a public shout out to the site team that provided the report, and they were very professional and thorough. I hope the institution thought so as well. They were fair and accurate in their assessments, I felt, and I just wanted to give a thank you to the site team publicly. And while I'm doing that, I'd be remiss if I did not say thank you to the institution for their positive attitude and cooperation, and their very well organized application as well as site visit. So again, a public thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you very much, and I just as a recognition, I don't think we do public gratitude well as a society enough. So thank you for doing that. And sorry to interrupt, Dr. Pratt.
Not at all, Dr. Tingle. Thank you. I just wanted to echo the thanks to Dr. Buser, Dr. Nash, and Ms. Ferguson. The site team was great. I look at these accreditation exercises as opportunities for us to learn through an external lens, and we do take it seriously, and we take these opportunities to improve. And we have had some conversations internally with the helpful feedback of the site team, and are looking to build on and make some improvements to our program. And so we wanted to also thank the site team as well as Dr. Schuler for his coordination. And I would like to just express my gratitude to my own team with Ms. Nunez and her team that have worked so hard to get us ready for this. Thank you.
trying my best Zoom classroom. I'm not seeing any other unmutes or people looking like they're reaching for unmute. So just if there, I will do 5 seconds of quiet just to see if I'm misreading the room. Are there any other questions? Yeah. Just as a reminder, the CAC is tasked with making a recommendation to the commissioner and the coordinating board regarding the current application. So at this point in time, we need a motion and a second to either recommend approval or recommend denial of the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine's second application for a certificate of authority. Do we have a motion?
I recommend approval.
Okay, Dr. Sneed Green has made a motion to recommend approval. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Dr. Langley was in first, I guess. I don't know. So we had a second. Do we have any further discussion? Is there any other restrictions or conditions that need to be placed or discussed on the recommendation for approval? Okay, so I'm going to the restating the final motion that we will, the CAC will recommend approval of the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine's second application for a certificate of authority to the commissioner and the coordinating board. So we need to have a voice vote. So again, just yes, yes or no. And I'll just start with Dr. Sneed Green.
Yes.
Dr. Anderson.
Yes.
Dr. Lee.
Yes.
And Dr. Langley.
Yes.
All right. And then my vote is yes also. So the motion to recommend approval of the second application is passed by unanimous vote. And there were no restrictions or any other conditions placed on that approval. So I will turn the meeting back over to Cam to give us an update on upcoming meetings and expected applications.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The next 3 scheduled CAC meetings are October 28th, 2021, February 3rd, 2022, and May 5th, 2022. They are all on Thursdays. We have 2 applications which will have site visits. One is occurring or just concluded this week, and the other has been slightly delayed, we believe, into September. We expect these applications to be reviewed during the October meeting or possibly the February 2022 CAC meetings. I also wanted to note the reappointment of 3 of our CAC members. Very thrilled with this: Dr. Langley, Dr. Sneed Green, and Dr. Anderson. They were approved at the July 21st, 2021 coordinating board meeting. It's always nice to have some carryover from years to years, because sometimes we don't meet for very long times when we don't have applications. They will serve another 2-year term on the CAC. So thank you to the 3 of you for agreeing to serve again. As stated last time, we may switch back to in-person meetings. Who knows at this point? Who knows? We will continue to keep you informed about such changes. You know, with the variants popping up, we may need to continue to be flexible, but we will definitely keep you in the loop on what we're doing. Since we have such a small advisory committee, I always thank you for showing up so that we can make a quorum. We do need each CAC member to participate, and this is a great group. You all have great questions, and we appreciate that. It's especially true when members leave an institution or have an unavoidable conflict like we had today with Dr. Gillis. So please put those 3 dates in your calendar, and if you'd like to have me, give them to you again, you can just email me at any time. And finally, please email me a summary of any expenses you might have had. With virtual meetings, it's kind of easy. We don't have a lot of expenses, but we are required to report the amount that advisory committees expend for meetings. And that might include travel copies you made, etc. And with that, I have no other announcements.
All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for attending. And I guess at this moment, I don't have a gavel, but the meeting is adjourned. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good day.
I don't want to leave till everyone's gone. Okay. Thanks, Val.
Thanks, Kim.